So once AI has flagged an issue, the next step is going to be to present it clearly to the right person in the right place. And that's what this video is about. It's about how to design your UI to support review and resolution. Evan's going to walk us through some real examples, like how to flag items with different urgency, when to use alerts versus passive hints, and how to embed the tools people need to act on what they're seeing right in that moment.
For flagging, doing the hard work in the workflows is only half of the battle. We also need to tell the user that something is flagged. And for that, I actually have a separate custom collection using our custom AI component to create these flag cards that are red and they're in your face and they tell you exactly what you need to know about an order. So this is an alert section that just holds all of these different flagged orders that we have a nice little hover animation on them. We have a little bit of detail on what went wrong in this specific order, when this order came in, and we can click into this and then we still have more information coming at us. So we have the reason code and we have the message here within the hint. And we also go ahead and surface the whole context of the email for the user, and then all the tools that they need to be able to place the order themselves. At the end of this, we then have this mark as fixed button, which if we take a look at this, takes another workflow that just resets the status of the master order, and we've already placed all the order items so that they can be picked now. So we could use a hint component within the custom collection, but there's also more that you can do with the hint component. If we come into one of these, and we know that these no parts errors are like a hard error, but let's say that it's maybe a partial extraction or an info section, maybe we only tag that as a warning. And we, once again, do the reason and the message, but then we hide this unless the reason is, let's say, info. So now that yellow section will only show if it's order that has the reason code info. Now we're giving the user color cues. I also really like to sprinkle these around where the hint is either this default state, which uses your accent color, or neutral, which is just gray. Sometimes we just want to tell people things and highlight that, but we don't need them to freak out about it, which is what the red section says. The red section is alert, yellow is, hey, I need your eyes on this, and gray is, this is good for you to know.
So not every issue needs to be surfaced in the same way or in the same place. Some errors demand immediate attention at the top of a dashboard, whereas others make far more sense tucked inside of a record or during a particular user flow. And in this section, we're going to look at how to choose where and how to present flagged issues, depending on what the error is and who needs to see it.
So when we're trying to surface these errors, flags, information for the user, it's really important to decide where to put that on the screen based on the context of the screen. So, for example, in this operations platform, it has had many, many different iterations. One of which was where the custom component lived on the side over here, and it was next to the orders, and then the order distribution fell down below. But what I found there was that the alerts, we want them to be handled by the ops team before looking at anything else on the screen. So we surface it right at the top. But let's say I have an example alert of that a warehouse picker has too many orders assigned to them and they shouldn't get any more orders. We see here that David has 7 and James has 1. We have some people with 0. We know that David shouldn't have any more. Maybe we want to surface a hint here that says dynamically, we would have to do the operations on the back end to do this dynamically, but David is overbooked, or some message here, just to tell the ops person what is happening within this graph quickly. This would not make sense to put at the top or even below because it's no longer associated with it. So this information we want to surface as close to other things in relation to that informational hint, that warning. We want to surface those things right where we would be looking for the issue.
So sometimes AI can't fully resolve an issue on its own, but it can still do most of the work for the human reviewer. In this next example, Evan goes through how the AI can make a best guess, a vendor, extract all the relevant details, and then present that guess so that the user only needs to confirm or tweak it slightly. And this is a great example of UI that assists review rather than just offloading an entire task to a human.
So we want to try to allow for the ability for the AI to correct itself by giving it a slightly different prompt. So we have these two. We try to get a match. If we do, go ahead and set the vendor details. If it's still flagged, we then go ahead and let text to JSON pull out what I've called this potential vendor. We think the vendor's this. Text to JSON is pretty good at this, and then we surface that for the user. This last step just pulls out, if we are looking at a potential vendor, go ahead and try to pull out also their email, phone, city, street, all those details, because the next action that we want the user to take is just adding the vendor to their vendor database. So this is a really good example of where you've maybe heard me talk about AI agents are invisible. And what that means is that all the data that you want to be entered is entered for you. So for this case, we weren't able to find the vendor in the invoice. Let's go ahead, pull all the details of who we think the vendor is, let the user confirm that, and just hit submit rather than typing it all in themselves.
So to wrap up, here's a quick recap of the different components that Evan used in this section. The custom component is really, really useful for building specific UI, like the UI elements that we saw in flag cards that Evan showed. The custom collection is great for building your own collections made up of different components. The hint component is a simple built-in component that shows alerts, warnings, and info messages with color cues. And the big numbers component was used to highlight key data at a glance. There are also other components that we can use for UI for human review, and we've linked to these deeper resources in the LMS below.